You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Breaking the Ice. And ladies and gentlemen, I have my entire crew back for week 3 of the semester. I'm your host, Connor Cupin, and on mic 1, we got Devils Fanatics. Justin Brady's here. How's it going, man?
I am doing great. Hockey season's approaching. I cannot wait.
On mic 1 as well, the Devils mic for today, we got Daniel Lamoya over there.
Doing really well. I woke up in a great mood. I don't know why. I think it's just, I really don't know why, but you know what? I'll take it. I think this is gonna be a really good episode. We've planned a lot. We have a lot to talk about. Finally, hockey content because it's been a while.
Dude, Nem's top 10 was my favorite. But listen, you got the Shohei Ohtani jersey on right now. He's trying to manifest him to the Mets.
That's not happening, but
on mic 2, AJ Chasen is here for his second time this semester thus far. How's it going, my friend?
It's going good, going good.
Nice little seafood paella.
It's terrible. neither here nor there.
We'll get into that one. And on mic 3, the man not wearing the blue shirt today, but he's got the yellow shirt on. It's Tanner Price.
The blue shirts! Let's go.
It's a tradition. It's back.
It's back.
Boys, how's it feel seeing each other all here again? You know what I mean? Is it great?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since probably the draft show was the last time we had this big of a squad.
Yeah,
know it.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice. It's
We
not
got
bad.
a ton of hockey content to cover, and it's crazy how quickly all this stuff just happened in the last week. 'Cause there wasn't much, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't much, and then boom, all the news just dropped. So Daniel even wrote down a list. You know, this guy wrote down an entire list.
I came ready.
He came ready. So, you know, I'm gonna let the first one slide in here. We got I feel like let's just start it off with the seafood. Let's start it off with non-hockey. We gotta save the hockey for the end here. So AJ, give the world your take.
Seafood is the worst genre of food. By far, it's not even close.
That's just like a crazy statement. So I want to ask you first, okay?
Okay.
What type of seafood have you tried?
I've tried lobster. I've tried shrimp. I've tried fish. It's just for me. I haven't gotten into anything that I enjoy when it comes to seafood.
Okay.
And I would rather eat any sort of genre of food.
Are you like that kid that gets chicken tenders from the restaurant all the time?
I am not.
I don't know. It sounds like it.
I am not.
I just seafood is amazing, so I'm like so surprised, and honestly, like it's just a common AJL. To be honest.
It's just not my thing. It's just really not my thing.
Common
It's
AJL.
bad.
You know, it's so funny that Justin just said that about he's the kid that gets chicken fingers everywhere because Maz said something similar on the show yesterday on Ant and Maz in the midday. He said AJ definitely had pizza rolls after school at least 4 days a week when he was a kid.
False.
And that just makes so much sense. Like, I look at you and you just scream, like, chicken fingers and pizza rolls. Like, maybe a ham and cheese sandwich every now and then.
Oh,
But
they also said Ant said a turkey sandwich, a chicken parm, all that was better than a Cuban sandwich. They all said that yesterday.
chicken parm, yes. Turkey sandwich, absolutely not.
My thing, I'm going to be honest, never had a Cuban sandwich. Just never,
Fair.
yeah, it's not that I wouldn't want to try one. It's just that I've never been in the position to, eat one. From listening to the show yesterday, listening to Maz describing it, I would agree. Chicken parm absolutely is better. Turkey sandwich, probably not.
Probably not. So I got 2 ADJs in the building. I got Enrique sitting behind AJ there. Come to the mic here and introduce yourself, man.
Well, my name is Enrique, like you said, and I'm an a DJ taking the DJ program here at WMSU, and happy to be
Thoughts on
here.
this? Do you agree seafood is bad or not?
Well, to be honest, I don't really like seafood,
Okay.
but I respect those who like it. But I personally, it's not my cup of tea.
You a fan of Cuban sandwiches, though?
Cuban sandwiches? No.
No?
No.
Okay. That's all good. I have another ADJ in the corner here. Come and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm excited to be taking the ADJ course.
And do you agree with AJ that seafood is the worst food?
I respect seafood itself. I love it. Shrimp and lobster are two of the highest grade foods.
Terrible.
And you ever had a Cuban sandwich?
I do not eat sandwiches.
Oh, okay. Interesting there.
That's insane. That's insane. But you know what? After today, I'm not alone. Enrique, teammates for life.
Teammates for once.
Attaboy.
Into the hockey here. Let's go into some preseason predictions because now it's coming up real soon. So first off, we saw Montreal play with those 5 games in like 3 days, I believe. No, not Montreal, Arizona.
Yeah.
And how was that injury report looking after that was over? I think it was like a a grocery list long.
Well, they had the prospects challenge, but they still haven't had their, what's it, the actual preseason games, like the one in Australia. So the prospects challenge, I mean, they were able to mix the rosters up and stuff like that. I don't think any teams had that big of an injury, thankfully. But then they have the 12:05 a.m. game on
which is
Sunday.
great. Yeah, that's so it's
Technically
really Friday
Saturday
night. Wait,
Or yeah,
that's in
you're
Australia,
right,
that game?
Yes, Friday night, but technically Saturday because it starts.
wait,
at
where's that game
12:05
being
a.m.
played?
In Australia.
So that's not. Is that Friday? No, that's
Yeah. Well, for us, it's Friday night.
no. For us, it's
Yeah.
Saturday. Well, 12 a.m.
For
on
us,
Saturday.
it's, for us,
Friday
it's
night.
Saturday.
Barely Saturday.
Yeah.
It's barely
it's
Saturday.
Friday night.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't gone to sleep yet.
Yeah.
And then they play
At 3 and then 8.
2 other games at 3 and 8.
And then on
That's
Sunday, they have another 12:05. So Saturday night, they have another game in L.A., I think. And then they also play 6 p.m. against Dallas. So that's wild. Arizona's going to be cooked. The Coyotes are absolutely going to be cooked.
I don't know if you go on like TSN or ESPN's website and look at NHL transaction, they gave something like, I want to say it was 14 PTOs because they just need roster spots. Like you can't run the players into the ground on day 1 of the preseason. I don't know what was going on with these schedule makers, but I guess if you're a Coyotes fan, even if you say
You get
lose-
non-stop action.
Yeah,
You're getting the game
even if you
every
lose,
day.
say your first 2 games, it doesn't even matter. You have 3 more games to look forward to in the next like 24 hours. So it's like I don't know. That's wild to me. And I get 2 of the games are in Australia, but still 3 games in 2 days in the United States, taking Australia aside, is crazy. We don't see anything like that typically. We'll see a split squad where a team has 2 games on the same day split, and that's it. But 5 in 2 days is just unheard of.
5 in 2 days, unheard of. So AJ,
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Penguins preseason. Let's check out their schedule, the preseason schedule here.
They got CBJ, which is kind of ironic.
Yes, indeed.
They
2
do.
games against the Blue Jackets, straight up. First game 1 and 2. Then they have a game against the Red Wings and the Sabres. They have 2 against the Sabres, 2 against the Red Wings, 2 against Columbus, and then 1 against Ottawa. What's their preseason record at the end of the preseason?
For me, I don't really care about the preseason record
Of
at
course,
all.
yeah, no one cares. No
I
one
don't.
cares.
It's not worth talking about. For me, what I want to look at for the preseason, I want to see who slots into the Penguins' bottom 6. It was an issue all last year. It was an area that Kyle Dubas really tried to address. He brought in bodies after bodies after bodies to try and plug holes in there. But it's going to be a competition. It's going to be a bunch of guys battling it out. And it's going to be interesting to watch. So that's going to be the main thing that I'm looking for.
And now, preseason predictions for the Devils. I know Daniel has said 3-1-1 before, I believe.
I did. They kick it off on Monday with 2 games. They're a split squad. They'll be in Montreal and also in New Jersey taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. I could see them going 1-1. I could see them losing in Montreal, but beating the Flyers at home. I think that's a realistic possibility, but we also can't really say too much until we know the rosters because it could be wildly different. Like, we don't know if Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier are playing at all, and if they are, like, how much they're going to be used and stuff like that. Like, it could completely differ. Last year there were games where Andreas Janssen was on the first line for no disrespect to Penguins legend. I know the Penguins love ex-Devils players. but there were also other games where our first line was like our legitimate first line. So it's going to be tough to tell. But regardless, just the fact that hockey's back is obviously very exciting because the next time we're here on Breaking the Ice, we will have final scores to report. So that's pretty cool.
Dude, I need that. Like it's been a rough go round so far on the show.
For Devils wise, I'm not gonna make like a record prediction, but I am gonna make like a player prediction. Me and Daniel have talked about it. I think Simone Nemec, if you guys are aware with him.
No Nem.
Yeah.
No Nem in the lineup, guys.
He was drafted second overall by the Devils in 2022, and he just is coming off a really solid prospect challenge, and I think he could really slot in this lineup, maybe be an extra defenseman, because obviously they have some depth there on the blue line just to be safe, because you have rookies now like Luke Hughes, Nemec. You don't want to go into the season with 2 rookies, but I mean, at the rate where Nemec is playing at right now, I think he really deserves a spot on this team. We'll see how he fares in the preseason. But if the Devils have 2 rookies on the blue line to start the season off, both top 4 picks, that's going to be something to look out for.
Yeah, so that's a great idea. What players are you looking to show out from preseason? Tanner, I'm going to move over to you. What Rangers players are you looking to go off?
I mean, the Rangers do have a lot of guys that are... They have a lot of prospects in their system that aren't, slated as we thought that the Kaapo Kakkos, the Vitaly Kravtsovs of the world, like we thought they were going to be. Because I remember seeing top 5 prospect rankings in like 2019, and they had the two of those guys on there. We absolutely know what's happened since, but they do have a lot of guys. I mean, they have Brennan Othmann, who's been kind of in and out. He was in the lineup for a couple games. I think he'll be very good for the team going forward because he's going to be a physical scoring forward, which is something that the Rangers have needed for the longest time, because it's either, if you're on the Rangers, you're either a physical player that's going to get in a lot of fights or you're going to score goals. There's no real in between, or you're Barclay Goodrow, but you don't really score that much. But they have a lot of guys. I'm excited to see like Gabe Perreault. They drafted. I really loved that pick. They took the best available player on the board at that time, so I'm excited to see what he's going to become. So I think it's more of like these younger players, these prospects, seeing if they could actually fit into an NHL lineup, because it's going to be interesting seeing, because they did sign a lot of veteran-ish players for league minimum. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets slotted in where, and if these prospects could take the spots from the veterans that have been brought in there to kind of fill the holes until the prospects come up. So it'll be interesting to see if the prospects are just there from day one.
Prospect challenge, Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli going crazy for a dude freshly turned 18. Now he can finally vote, and he's already tearing up the prospect challenge as expected, because it's a bunch of, it's not the NHL regular season yet. What line do we think these two guys start on with their teams?
Adam Fantilli, line 2, Connor Bedard, line 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would have to agree with that. Bedard's hat trick was unreal. I mean, all 3 basically the same goal, where his shot is too hard and too fast for a goalie to pick up. I think it was his second goal. He sniped from the circle on the power play, and Colton Dock, Blackhawks prospect, was in front of the net, and he literally just put his hands on top of his head, like in disbelief, because he's like this. He's not even human. Like, Connor Bedard is in a whole different stratosphere right now. And it's going to be interesting to see first year how that translates. I'm not saying he's going to be Connor McDavid, at least right out of the gate. But it'll be interesting. And us Devils fans know Taylor Hall. There's a good chance that Bedard will play with him. Taylor Hall got to play with Jack Hughes in his first year, and that did not go so well. But Jack Hughes, I think Connor Bedard will be light years ahead of where Jack Hughes was in his first year. So it's going to be very exciting.
I hear you. Now, I just want to go back to a nice little, a retired player. Rangers legend Nick Holden actually retired.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
A week ago, he retired.
Wow.
From professional hockey, but he's joining Vegas as a player development coach.
Really?
Yeah.
I just remember he's one of those players in the Rangers that was kind of just there. He didn't do anything. He never did anything, but he was just there for a bit. Like if you look up like the 20s, like 17, 18 Rangers,
The glory days.
you could just look at that roster and be like, wow, these guys played in this league, or these guys were on the Rangers. Like that's where you find Vinny Lettieri on the Rangers. Just guys like that. But
Yeah, Nick Holden
Yeah.
retired. But with
Huh.
retirements, a potential career over statement here. Did y'all see that Carey Price, his career is most likely over, he said himself, barring a miracle.
Sad.
Because he's still
sad.
under contract, and he holds on to hope that he can play again, but the probabilities continue to fall by the month, he says.
He said he has nightmares about not winning a Stanley Cup, like legitimate nightmares in the middle of the night,
Dang.
and that. I mean, it's sad. I mean, he had a great career. Unfortunately, it got derailed towards the end with injuries, and he was never able to achieve his ultimate goal. So I feel for him.
Yeah, he's like one of those goalies that you're just gonna go down and remember. Yeah, that goalie, he was amazing, but he never won the cup. And
They got close, like, what, twice to the cup final?
They made one.
they never. Well, they went with him 2021.
Yeah, that was...
They got close, but they lost to the Rangers in the 2014.
2014.
Eastern Conference
But he didn't
Finals.
play in that. Remember?
Did he actually not?
Remember Kreider?
No,
That's what Montreal Canadiens fans are still angry about it.
Really?
And Kreider Kreider went on a breakaway, slid into him, and he got hurt.
So
It was Dustin Tokarski for the rest of that series.
obviously, like that's like 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm asking you, do you think if Price plays that whole series, the Rangers go to the cup that year?
I don't really know because it was so early into game one
Yeah.
that
Oh.
it's not. We couldn't even really tell. I mean, the games were still competitive. I think that goes 7 if he's playing at least, but you know, it's a little sad to see.
It's
that
like the Chase Utley thing for them.
Yeah, it's a
their
little.
Chase Utley.
It's a little sad to see that he's retiring without a cup because I know that all too well. Great goalie retiring without a Stanley Cup. Oh, I know that all too well.
I wonder what he's talking about, bro.
So it's really
Talking
sad.
about John Gillies.
Yeah, but Price is no doubt a top 10 goalie in NHL
Yeah.
history, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Without a doubt.
he's beloved by all the Montreal fans. He's done so many great things for the community there. Overall, great guy, great goalie. One of the best to ever do it.
Speaking of goalies, we got Keith Kincaid back in Jersey.
I mean, this is the first time ever that Carey Price and Keith Kincaid have like segued into each other on anything.
Never
Like,
before.
let's talk about Carey Price. Okay, now to Keith Kincaid.
Yeah,
That's
now
never
to
happened.
Keith Kincaid.
Yeah, that's
1 year.
that's
Maybe
never
for like a-
happened on any show ever.
Maybe for like a couple weeks in 2018, because I think people forget Keith Kincaid was basically the reason the Devils made the playoffs in 2018.
Oh.
I mean, he stood on his head. He was great, and that team really had no business being in the playoffs. Not gonna lie, and they deservedly got flushed away pretty quickly by the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Keith Kincaid for a while was a very solid goalie. Not for a long time, but for a short while. And now he's just kind of a meme. I know he had blocked like half the Devils fan base on Twitter because the end of his tenure did not go very well. So he would like name search himself on Twitter and block a bunch of Devils fans. So it's a little ironic now that he comes back to the Devils and he's not going to remember everyone who blocked. So there's like a large portion of the fan base I've seen on Twitter who is like upset because this guy's a Devil again and they're blocked. They can't see his tweets. There was also a story of supposedly he, and I can't confirm this, but this is what I've seen and heard, that he was very invested in the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know how that went, but what I can say is he was listing his old Devils equipment used on Facebook Marketplace for $500 for his game used glove. So I'm not going to speculate here, but I think we could say the two potentially go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because he's posting all this stuff about cryptocurrency. All of a sudden, he's a former NHL player who made at least a couple $1 million, and now he's trying to sell his glove on Facebook Marketplace like something's not adding up here. So I
Something ain't right.
We can't talk about Rangers legend Keith Kincaid like
Yeah.
this.
Oh, jeez.
10 career games with the Rangers. He was a player. That's all I can say.
was a player.
He suited up in a blue shirt.
Oh yeah.
Suited up in a blue
Yeah.
shirt.
That's the way to
It
describe
happens.
Keith
Yeah,
Kincaid.
he was a Ranger. Played one game in 2021.
Ooh.
He was.
And
he
how'd that
was-
go?
I forget.
Well,
all I remember
it's probably not good.
Probably not. I think they might have won that game.
I remember one
Wait.
game where Keith Kincaid, like, it was in overtime and the Rangers lost. I think that was that series, that year, where he just got completely, like, deked out of his skates. And
Potentially, we're gonna find out really
it
soon.
was an
Say, I'm
empty
trying to
net,
find
basically.
his-
But Keith Kincaid is very similar in the sense that he makes some outrageous, flashy saves, but then, like, simple ones he doesn't
My guy's
make.
on Wikipedia right now trying
he's
to find
kind of
this.
a human-
He won the game that he started in.
Okay.
In 2021.
Do you have
with
any
the
stats
Rangers.
from the game?
No, I
No.
can't find that.
We'll at least give him the round of applause he deserves for winning his lone Rangers start.
He had played it the season before. But
Ooh.
he played 9 games in 2020 21 or whatever it was. Whatever that was, whatever we're calling it, the
Wow.
2021 season. And then he played one game.
I vividly recall during quarantine in 2020, Keith Kincaid just probably leashed like 5 TikToks a day. Like, that man
His
was
stats,
like,
5 TikToks a day.
like peak quarantine boredom, and I understand. But I just remember every time I go on TikTok, it would just be like Blockade 1 and him doing some kind of dance or making banana bread or talking about how much he loves Gatorade more than water. Those are all real things that he posted. He was just very bored, so I'll always have that memory in my head.
Wasn't that when you played Fortnite with Peter Nagosic?
Steven Nagosic,
Steven Nagosic.
Mets legend, yeah.
Terrible.
That's COVID. That's how COVID COVID
that
brought
is-
Daniel and Steven Nagosic together via Fortnite.
I think he's on like the Diamondbacks AAA team right now. But
You should reach back out.
want to play Fortnite again? Yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, yeah.
You got nothing to lose.
Yeah. What do
You
you
got
got to lose?
nothing to lose.
Be like,
Hi,
how do you
remember
feel
me?
about
I'm
the
Daniel
Coyotes?
Moya.
Because he is a Diamondback now.
It's
so-
like, hi, remember me? I'm Daniel Moya. I used to play Fortnite
I
with
ain't
you.
playing
Yeah,
Fortnite.
because that's exactly what I sound like.
Someone's upset.
I'm AJ Chase and I don't like seafood.
Someone's upset. Someone's upset.
I just want to follow up on the Keith Kincaid comments. I posted the breaking news when Keith Kincaid got signed, and the top comment on the post was, "This just ruined my whole morning."
Oh man,
Were you excited to make that post?
Yeah, I was jumping out of my feet.
jumping out of his feet,
I make
guys.
sure he's out of
He
my
was
shoes.
jumping out of his feet.
Yeah.
Everyone.
This guy was jumping out of his
That's a
Justin,
quote.
how do you jump? How does one jump out of their feet?
Leave it up to Justin to figure that out.
Look, I can do a lot of great things that no other man can do.
How about you demonstrate in studio how to jump out of your
How do you
feet?
jump out of your feet? You're AJ.
Here, try.
So, speaking of a bunch of great things, so a couple weeks ago they had the Islanders fan debate. I asked Tanner his thoughts. He's on Justin's side, so now I'm gonna ask you. Justin says all Islanders fans trash, copy and paste like Taylor Swift fans, and Daniel says they're a great, respectable fan base.
No, they're trash.
Yeah.
3v1.
Thank you.
It's only because I said it because I joined over the summer like this Mets group chat, and there's like Devils fans and like the fans of every team, and it's like the Devils fans being like, "Hi, yeah, we beat the Rangers in the series," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't really argue that," and it'll be like the Islander fan like, "Yeah, the Islanders beat them in the regular season." I'm like, you have nothing here.
Okay,
You have nothing here. You're adding it on. It's like if you ever it's like you go on Twitter. Oh yeah, big win by the Mets today. The Braves won 3-0. I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care.
I understand that they gotta stick their nose into everything.
Yeah.
But also, to play devil's advocate, you can't really judge by people who are chronically online like that.
That's a fact. That's a
true.
fact.
True.
That's
Yeah.
a section of fan base. Yeah.
You need to judge, like, at least Justin's argument, for as much as I disagree with it, is based off of real live people, not people hiding behind some username called like
Islanders fan
Called, like,
09.
Islanders Sebastian Aho or
Yeah.
or Barzy for Heart. Like,
Barzy for
No, it just seems that just like there's just every Islanders fan that I've like really met and known, they're just all kind of the same person.
Wow. Yo,
Like
that's
no,
exactly-
it's like
you sound exactly like Justin.
yeah, no, it's like oh yeah, I think the Rangers could win this game against the Vancouver Canucks. Could they beat the Islanders though? Like you haven't won anything.
You know what Islanders fans are like? They're like the kid at recess that when you're with your group and you're doing something, and then the one annoying kid comes over to you. What's it called?
Can I play with you guys? Can I play with you
Can I
guys?
play with you guys too? Tries to with
And you wouldn't let them?
of course you would. That's why and
That's what
the
I
NHL
thought.
and the NHL does as well. That's why they're still a team.
Well, I'm still a
Fair
team.
point.
The hero there, but still, but the Islanders, like Islanders fans will do anything to be heard, and it's actually insane. And the reason why I think Rangers fans are better than Islanders fans, because at least Rangers fans, at least the Rangers have a brand, and like they sort of win.
Sort of win.
They sort of win.
No, he's right. The Islander fans, they act like they've been successful for the last 40 years. They
We
have
went
not.
to 2 Eastern Conference
It's
Finals.
the one-
They won those 4 cups and haven't done anything.
There's not
since.
that many teams that I could say, yeah, my team's won a Stanley Cup more recently than yours, and one of them is the Islanders.
Dude,
Like
Islanders fans are like Dallas Cowboys fans without the star.
Yo.
I wish Ilya Sorokin was not on that team because
I
they would
agree.
just not say anything at all.
I
They would
agree.
be a bottom 3 team in the league
Yeah,
without
it would be like you know, great game by Igor Shesterkin today. He got a shutout.
The reason
Igor got 30 saves. Sorokin would get 35. Like I don't care. I just want to enjoy my team's win.
Bro, the 1980s is why there's 2 reasons why the Islanders are not have the same fate as the Atlanta Thrashers. 1, because of the 1980s. 2, because they play in Long Island. It's literally it.
I love Tanner's analogy to the Atlanta Braves because that's so accurate.
Yeah,
Like
I do have to say though, whatever Islander fan came up with the Islander sandwich, I think it was Shaq actually. I gotta agree with you. I got that. Bravo.
Hey, well, I'll give.
We got it covered out here.
The only thing the Islanders have going for them is that they have a nice arena now.
Yeah,
Oh, that arena's beautiful.
It is
It's
beautiful
fantastic.
and the food's good there.
yeah.
That's it.
And
Like,
no, they have the one thing. There's the one props I'll give to the Islanders. You could get a souvenir cup for the game, and you just have to. There's just stations where you could refill it. So you could go like when I went to the game, I accidentally spilled my lemonade. I just went and got more lemonade. That was it.
It's easy.
yeah,
it was
at the
great.
Prudential Center they'd be like, okay, that's another $11.50.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was like.
I really
okay,
do
good
like
job.
I really do like how the Islanders have it set up because it's almost like buffet style kind
Yeah.
of like
Yeah,
you just walk up yourself and grab your food because like in other arenas they rip you off sometimes. Like say you order a fountain drink and they'll fill the entire thing up with ice and you're maybe getting like 6 ounces of a Coca-Cola. Or like say you order a chicken tender bucket and they throw like 2 of the tiniest chicken tenders
Yeah.
in there. But like at least for the Islanders you could pick your own food.
yeah.
And so at least you feel better about it and then you just walk up to the station and check out. So I like that setup. The sandwich that you're talking about I did not try because I vividly remembered texting you and you told me where it was and I didn't see it there and I was very, very upset because it sounded really, really good.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I got it like 20 minutes before game time and just kind of just scarfed it down. I was like, I am not savoring this. I was very hungry and I didn't want to be in the national anthem like holding 2 like like holding a like just like eating a sandwich.
Yeah. Before
Yeah.
before we keep glazing the Islanders arena, right? Listen, we have to just throw this out there. The Islanders' general parking is terrible.
Oh, it is hard.
It is
You have
terrible.
to park a mile away from the stadium.
Yeah, you have
and
to
take
walk
a shuttle
around the
bus.
or you have to walk
walk.
around the horse track. It's terrible.
It is
Yeah.
horrible.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how it's right by the Belmont track?
Oh, okay.
No,
It's right.
it's okay though. If you have a BMW, you can park for free.
Yeah,
Apparently,
if you have a BMW, not only can you park for free, you can park closer.
Dude,
Oh,
I do. I
wow.
have a BMW. This is great.
dude. All right, I just want to say one more thing. It's not even like totally Islander fans. It's just Long Islanders. I hate Long Islanders. They are so annoying. They all look the same. They all act the same, and they're so annoying.
See, this is where he lets his other biases creep into this, and his argument becomes invalid.
No, it's not invalid. The only people who are Islander fans are from Long Island. There's barely any Islander fans from New Jersey or anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you live on Long Island, you're probably an Islanders fan, but that's it. They're all the same. They are all. I can't say that word. But
I do. I think I do have to come to a firm
Was Double Tap
conclusion
from
on
Long
this.
Island?
What?
Was Double Tap from Long Island?
From Long Island.
she probably lived there at some point because they're all the same. They're all the same.
No, I think
Daniel's losing.
I think I need to go to a Rangers Islanders game at UBS
UBS?
Arena to fully come to a conclusion.
on this thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, because I just have because the only Islanders game I've been to, they played the Avalanche, so I was
Okay,
like,
I see. Yeah.
so-
it's way different. Yeah.
so it's way different, you know. I
That's
wore an Avalanche jersey, but I was like, no one like really gave me anything. So.
You know what I will take Justin's side on? The Ilya Sorokin chants are annoying. Ilya Sorokin. It's like
Yeah.
constant.
Well, that's all they had. What are they gonna chant? Oh, Zach Parise.
Noah Dobson.
There's
Anders
nobody
Lee.
else. They're all mid. Mid.
Mid.
Josh Bailey.
Josh
Josh Bailey had a
Josh Bailey.
Shut up! Shut up!
oh yeah, Josh Bailey had like a 80-point season one year and has really done nothing
They
since.
made an entire song
Yeah.
about a
Yeah.
dude who, like, a couple years later ended up on a
I
professional
want to
tryout with the Ottawa
know how he
Senators.
scored that goal. It's terrible. It's really
Don't get me
terrible.
wrong, Josh Bailey, solid player, not someone you make a goal song about.
Yeah.
But that's just
He had like that one season
Yeah.
where he
That
just went
one
off.
year.
I will say, one of the things that ruined my experience at UBS Arena was the fact that the Penguins lost 5-0 and Josh Bailey scored twice. So not only was I sitting with these guys that are just Long Islanders. You're 100% right, Justin. Just these annoying dudes. What they call right behind me. They're screaming because I was with my boy Ryan. We came on the draft show, and we were just sitting there, and they were just literally over top of us in our ears, like, "Hey, Josh Bailey, bro!" I thought Ryan was literally gonna turn around, and smack him in the mouth. I wouldn't have blamed him. You know, I forgot the kid's name that told the story last week about him
Mike.
getting kicked out. Oh my god, I thought we were getting kicked out of UBS when that happened. I would have been so for it.
I would have been so for it. Well, speaking of the Isles, they signed Isaiah George to his 3-year level entry contract. So anyway,
Oh my god, Isaiah George! Wow,
he's a defenseman. He was from the OHL. He was a
I hope he
2022
stinks.
fourth-round pick.
I hope
Anyway,
he stinks.
That team cannot draft for their lives, so that guy's a bum no matter
Hey,
what.
he
Bo
has
Horvat,
22
8
points
times
in
8.
54 games for the London Knights of the OHL.
And also had 3 points, all assists in 20 playoff games. So
Well.
take with that what you
We listen.
Everything about that.
We are
organization
talking this.
sucks.
We are going to be ripping Isaiah George, and then one of our teams, he's going to score like a last-second goal on it, and we're going to think back to this.
We're gonna think back to this very moment. This is the Isaiah George
everything
moment.
about the Long Island. Everything about the Islanders sucks. It really does.
I'm not gonna lie, we're giving the Islanders too much attention.
Yeah.
Let's stop right now. We're gonna stop right now.
This is the only attention they'll be getting all season because by mid-season they'll have 11 wins.
It's gonna be really funny if like any one of our teams has like a huge game and the Islanders beat us.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, Devils and
Boys,
Well,
you know
I remember start of 21-22 when they didn't have the arena and they were on the road and they got off to a terrible start and all their fans were like, "Let us get a home arena. Let us get a home arena. Win on the road. That's how you win a Stanley Cup. You win on the road." Sorry that you have 11 games. Sorry the stadium got delayed. I just remember that like vividly.
It was terrible.
You say,
Like you could just
Boys,
win.
but hold
it's
up.
not like the arena itself puts on skates and
Yeah. Like the traveling, like every team's gonna have to travel that at some point. You're just doing it at the beginning of the year. It's probably better to get that out of the way.
But boys, all I'm gonna say is this: we have Rangers fans, Penguins fans, Devils fans, and the one token Panthers
Cats
fan.
fan.
You know what? Today is the first day that we have all united
Yeah,
about
it's a
something.
fact.
No,
Yes.
I disagree. Tanner
About
Jeannot.
something.
Tanner Jeannot trade. This is
Fair
the
enough.
second time.
Fair
I will
enough.
never forget that Tanner Jeannot trade. Us sitting in this room and being united as one.
You know what?
So this is number 2.
You're right. But you know what? We've came a long way, boys. We have came a long way.
We deserve that. Well, now that the Islanders, I can't find PC words. I can't find any words to describe
They
that.
suck.
Yeah. So, moving on now. The NHL set the trade deadline day. Without looking, can y'all guess when it is?
March 6th.
No.
Close.
Yeah.
March 3rd.
Yes, he's right. March 8th. There's no buzzer sound here, but let's give this. Yeah! So we got till March 8th until the Panthers make no trades mid-season. Just like last season. Hey, and they still went to the Stanley Cup final. So maybe it wasn't a bad strat.
Yeah,
It wasn't
they got
terrible.
destroyed.
That's fair. But it was a fun ride there. It was a fun ride to get there. So that's when the NHL... But speaking of the Cats, Spencer Knight is coming back, I believe, from the player assistance program. He was actually dealing with a very severe case of OCD, which got him sent in this program. He was spiraling... According to him, he was spiraling in a direction he didn't want to be going, and he didn't want to feel like a burden to the team. So he put himself in the program, and that's where you saw the Lion King come out and do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's back. It said while they were making their run to the Cup final, Spencer Knight was at his parents' home in Connecticut dealing with an ongoing case of OCD that made it impossible for him to continue playing in the NHL. Said it took a toll on him after a game in December. He got diagnosed with the flu, and then he had thoughts of, he just began to keep getting thoughts of getting sick. After he got the flu, this OCD, he kept getting thoughts of, getting diseases and getting sick. He would consistently have trouble sleeping until he left the team in February. So, but he's going to be ready to go for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that because I've seen from the moment he put himself into that program, the NHL Players Assistance Program, that is not an easy thing to do. In the middle of a season with how competitive the National Hockey League is, to realize that whatever you're dealing with is more important than the game on the ice, that is certainly not easy. And I saw...
Especially for a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
21-year-old
someone trying to
kid.
kind of still make his name. He's not like a starter.
Yeah.
He's more of the backup, but still not, that too big of a name.
He's 22 now.
Yeah.
Someone who had very high expectations as well, leading
Yeah.
Team USA at the World Juniors to a gold medal, and some people said he was the quote-unquote next big thing.
He was,
So, anyway, I saw so many comments from the moment he did that on social media. Oh, he's an addict, he's not a team player, another troubled teenager, all
Wow.
this stuff, and it's
Wow.
you can't make that judgment until you know as 100% fact what people are going through. So I 100% admire Spencer Knight for doing the tough thing and doing what he felt was best for his mental health, and I hope he has a great year this year because he deserves it, and I give full props to him for doing what he needed to do.
I believe he'll be probably the goalie, too, behind Bobrovsky yet again, because Bobrovsky's going to be there till his contract is up. No team will take on that contract, and they're not going to cut him. So they have a few more years until they can really give Spencer the keys to the goal. Right now, the goalie 3 is Anthony Stolarz. From
Stoli the goalie.
New Jersey legend.
Yeah, he's their goal. He's Florida's GK3 right now. Or he might be 2, depending on how great Knight is. But
What happened to the Lion King?
Lion King is with San Jose or the Ducks.
Oh, okay.
Let's check that out.
Anthony Stolarz is from Edison, New Jersey.
Hey, okay. Alex Lyon is with the Red Wings. Yeah, that's
Okay.
where he's at right now. Lion King didn't last too long.
Also, another fun fact, Anthony Stolarz gave the Devils their first win of the season last year after they started out 0-2. So, we know how that went. So,
Hey, listen, man, it starts a run. You know what I'm saying? So now we've covered some solid topics here. We've had some solid debates, and let's get over to the story of the week. Everyone, give me your phones.
That's a crazy intro.
Phones, everybody. Now. Anyways, so Mike Babcock, just last week, Tanner and I were on this show talking about how, like, due to character issues, but his players are backing him up.
Yeah.
And now he's gone.
I read like the statement from Boone Jenner on the air, like, where he was like, yeah, we love him, and, you know,
He's a good dude,
he's a good dude, and we see this today.
And now, 2 days ago, he resigns from being their head coach before a single game is played. So now Pascal Vincent is the team's new head coach. A statement from Babcock. Upon reflection, it has become clear that continuing as head coach of the Jackets was going to be too much of a distraction. I know it's in the best interest of the organization for me to step away. Well, so.
That is just a blatant way of saying you don't want to admit to what you did, because let's be real, the facts came out. It started on Spit and Chicklets, where Paul Bissonnette came up with these allegations, and they denied them. I'm not even gonna fault Boone Jenner for backing him up necessarily, because what we don't know is he could have done different things to different players. So he could have genuinely went up to Boone Jenner, knowing he's the captain of the team, and been like, "Oh, show me a picture of your family. How'd your summer go?" And then he could have, say, taken Adam Fantilli or Gavin Brindley and forced them to scroll through their entire text messages, their entire Instagram DMs, their AirPlay their phone and scroll through their entire.
It's a dangerous place,
roll.
man. That's a game
So
right there.
That's what the thing is. Mike Babcock had a history of basically being abusive to his
teammates
players,
or his
NHL players.
There was a big story with Mitch Marner. Which I remember that one. When he called him, a 19-year-old Mitch Marner called him in his office, had to make a list of every single player in the locker room and rank them like based on their work ethic, from like the best, like the strongest work ethic to like the least strongest work ethic. I told him it was going to be private, and then he put it in the locker room for everyone to see, and Mitch Marner was left crying.
Yeah,
and that's who Mike Babcock is.
Yeah, like I said, he has a history of doing it, and I said on this show I was shocked that he got another job as an NHL head coach, and I think it's fitting that he didn't play another game. There were some excerpts from the most recent Spin Chicklets episode. This is one I want to read it, just to give you insight as to how absurd this was. It said, "Most surprisingly, apparently several of these incidents happened at Babcock's house." First of all, that in of itself is a huge red flag. In at least one of the incidents reported to Whitney, a young player was invited for lunch, told to take out his phone, had Babcock flip through his photos, and then told him to leave without ever getting lunch. He sounds like a sociopath. Can you imagine that? You're a young player, for example, say Gavin Brindley or Adam Fantilli. You just got drafted. First NHL head coach, you're like wondering, like, am I going to fit in the NHL? This is the biggest jump. I finally made it. Your head coach invites you over. "Oh, we're going to grab some lunch." All right. Yeah, give me your phone. Show me all your private information.
Give me your phone.
And then he doesn't even give you lunch. They're probably starving.
Yeah.
Schmuck of the year. Schmuck of the season so far, but season hasn't even started yet.
That's just awful, but also not surprising. And I think it's fitting that Babcock didn't own up to a single thing when basically everyone else in the Blue Jackets organization, now that word came out, has said this stuff was happening, it made them uncomfortable, etc. So just an awful, awful, awful hire, and I'm glad he's gone before it hurts the Blue Jackets any further.
And I just want to say, how tone deaf can you be in 2023? Like, I'm not saying everyone has this, but you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, right? What do you think you're going to find in those pictures? What do you think? It can't be good. It can't be good.
But that's the thing. It's not his business. Like,
yeah, it is not his business.
As long as they aren't publicly posting, like as long as they're being aware of their public image, what they have in their phone privately is their information only and should not be used against them in any way in their
Yeah.
national high. It's
Just a
completely
creepy
different.
guy.
It shouldn't be used to get,
Yeah,
it shouldn't be
literally,
used to
too
like
far.
rank them. Maybe like because he said it was like, oh, I want to see who they are, what their work ethic is, because it may go into determining if a guy's playing on the second or the third line.
Horrible.
It could maybe impose roster decisions, which that's something that you don't do based on looking on.
Yeah,
the phone.
what's in your phone, bro? This is going to be determined if you're on the third line or not. If you're on the power play.
Guy's 60 years old wanting to see what's on an 18-year-old's phone.
Yeah. Like, what is he gonna be like? Oh, you didn't post Be Real yesterday. You're getting pushed to the fourth line.
Guy,
Dude,
that's
you
so
missed your-
creepy.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a creepy dude.
I just
Like,
don't understand what his intention would be in doing that. It just makes no sense, and it's just very disturbing. Like, I'm curious, like, what you guys think. Like, suppose, like, you're in that position. Like, you're a young kid. Like, imagine you're Adam Fantilli. Would you actually give him, like, your phone? Like, that's your head coach right
I feel like you kind of have to in that
And you have
situation.
to.
Yeah.
And
That's the part that's messed up
horrible.
about
That-
It's
it.
yeah,
a horrible
that's
position
what-
to be in. I think that's absolutely disgusting that he did that, especially like in this day of age. Maybe like 10 years ago, maybe nobody would care about that. But we're in a whole different place now where social media is so big. What you
Yeah.
post, it's really.
You know what's on an 18-year-old's phone. Like, that's
Yeah,
insane.
like,
Like,
We
that's
know!
insane.
We
I-
know. Who in this room would have the worst? Who would Babcock react to the worst in
Dude.
this room?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'd be canceled.
Yo,
Dude,
we know. Oh,
dude,
man.
Dude, Devil's Fan X would get canceled.
Why'd you just out yourself live on WMNC?
It's okay.
Why did
It's
you
okay.
just do that?
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Yo,
it
Mike, if
really-
you're listening right now and Justin wants to give
There's
you a
definitely-
wait.
There's definitely one of his followers like screen recording this.
That's
but the difference is like that's still. But I don't know what's on Justin's phone. Let me.
But
just
that's
say.
his business.
But it's his business. If he is not outwardly posting something anywhere, no one would know, and that shouldn't just become public information.
Yeah. Your phone is your private life. What do you have on your phone is your
Yes,
private
I mean,
life.
let's just say.
Unless if I'm giving you my phone to show you something, like, there's no business for you to see it.
Let's just say.
No business.
Let's just say, in theory, I don't know, maybe Adam Fantilli was putting himself on some new car insurance or switching banks or something, and he had like a picture of his social security number in his camera roll, and then Mike Babcock just has that.
That's
That's very personal
Yeah.
information. You don't have a right to look at that.
And
yeah,
Like,
that's
we're
your
not
government
just-
number.
We're not,
Like,
we're not just talking about inappropriate things here. Like, we're talking about just personal
Yeah.
information. You
Or
could have
just
he can
pictures
log
of
onto his
credit-
bank account.
Yeah,
That's
Or just
exactly what
pictures, you know.
Enrique said last
Passwords.
week, and Mike talk about bank statements, stuff like that.
Like pictures of like, some you might not want someone seeing like, oh yeah, this is my like pictures of your family. That's just stuff that is
Yeah.
on your phone. But I also think
Medical records.
I really think if this was a coach that had, a different like stigma around him, because everything is just Mike Babcock, Babcock,
He's a bad
coach,
dude.
bad dude.
Babcock, bad dude.
Because every little thing now, if he was kept on as the coach, every little thing, every struggle would go to go to, oh, he's not connecting with his players. What else is he doing? Because he's been in the past. We've seen all of this stuff and how he's just not a good, he might win, but he's not doing it ethically, which you don't really want for your team in the NHL, because we've seen Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. I remember they had a thing where they would draw like hearts on their gloves and tell each other like that we're supposed to love playing hockey, just because of Mike Babcock, just because of how he was as a coach, how bad he was as a coach to them. I think if it was a different coach, maybe like a first-year player coach, or a coach that isn't even really thought of in a bad way, if this happened, it might be different, and I think he would still remain with the team. But it's Mike Babcock, and it's just going to keep being this bigger story, especially after there's stories about how he's in interviews and stuff, and how he's like, yeah, I've been trying to change what I am. I've been thinking about how people perceive me as a coach and things I do, and that I want to change it. And now here, clearly, we're seeing that he did not try to change it, and he's still doing things that are a little iffy, that you don't really want your head coach of your team doing.
Yeah,
It's just
I
yeah.
believe in most cases second and sometimes even third chances, but he just had such a
Yeah.
long. He had like 12 chances. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
there's just a laundry list
mean-
of things that he's done to be abusive to the
Yeah,
players.
I
and
mean,
that, like you said, with the hearts on the gloves, like the fat. He reminds me of that like little league baseball dad.
Yeah.
Who's like the
yes,
head coach.
yes,
Who like takes it way too seriously.
Yes.
And is like
Yeah.
celebrating more than the children. And like,
yeah,
Or he's that high school coach that is hired by administration, doesn't see what's going on in the day to day. The administration is going to believe them over a bunch of 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, and that high school coach destroys the fun out of your sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's been so many of my friends who have quit
Yeah.
multiple sports
Yeah.
because of coaches they didn't like, and the fact that that's happening at the greatest hockey league in the world
Yeah.
should not be happening. I
Mhm.
mean, unfortunately, that's just the case when in like U16 sports,
Yeah.
because you can't like
Yeah.
have a whole hiring
Yeah.
process.
and yeah.
But in the National Hockey League,
Mhm.
that should not be happening.
I remember
Awful.
this offseason, there was reports that the Rangers were interested in him, and I was like,
That would
I
be
was like,
really funny,
this.
not
I was
gonna
like,
lie.
this could be the possible worst thing that the Rangers do, because they went from Gerard Gallant, who's known as being, a player-friendly coach, will help guys kind of ease into things, and it was like, oh no, we're going right to Mike Babcock. Why? Why are we doing that? I was. There was probably like a couple weeks before they were like, it was like, it's Peter Laviolette or it's Mike Babcock. I had a couple probably weeks where I was genuinely fearful that I was going to get the Mike Babcock is the next coach of the Rangers, like text or tweet or something, and I would have just quit right there, because I do not want to imagine the things that Mike Babcock would say to Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere. I do not want to think about that.
I know we're ragging on Mike Babcock, and for good reason. He's a terrible human. But here's the thing. This was such an egregious act, like taking young players' phones and going through their private life, to where, yes, everything about Mike Babcock's true, but the one thing I disagree with you, Tanner, about is I think even no matter who the coach is, if it's a first-year coach, if it's a highly respected coach, if this were to leak about any coach, I think it's just as bad.
Yeah, but I think
it's just as bad. He's saying would everyone harp on the coach as much?
I think so. I think so, because you're invading your player's private life. You're taking.
I'm also not sure if it's like this first year coach, if like someone would go to.
I don't know if he steps away.
Yeah.
I think that coach gets fired.
Yeah,
like I think it's handled
just
differently, but I think they're still going to face similar criticism.
But I think right now, if that happened to a coach that doesn't like, he would probably get fired. But give or take a few years, he might get another chance. Mike Babcock is done coaching in the NHL.
If that happens to Rod Brind'Amour, I'm not saying it's like Rod Brind'Amour exactly, but I'm saying that like a respected coach in the NHL, known as one of the better coaches in the league. If Rod Brind'Amour was caught doing this, he's getting fired. 1,000%.
See, I disagree with that, because I think that if a coach has a history of being a great coach, the players have always publicly respected them, and then they do something like this, two things. One, I think you can give them the benefit of the doubt because they've never done something like that before, so they're more likely to have a reasoning behind it. Because that was, even with the news about Babcock, everyone was like, well, what was his reasoning behind it? And then it came out that it was just same old Mike Babcock. But if it were another coach, like, he could come out and say, oh, I was just trying to get closer with my players. I realized I may have crossed the line, and they would have moved on. Because if it was that bad of an issue, more would have came out about it. But the second thing, I think if it was any other coach, the story would have never came out.
Yeah.
Because if we look at how this all started, it started with a text to Paul Bissonnette, who aired out the information on Spit and Chicklets. That text was from a former player, we don't know who. Rumors that it was possibly Phil Kessel, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That this was a player that played under Mike Babcock and who strongly disliked him and found wind of that and then gave that information.
Penguins rescued him.
So if this was any other coach who just did this, who had a better track record, no one would be out to get them like someone's out to get Mike Babcock. So I don't think the story would have even came to public light. There's probably so many stories in hockey and in all professional sports that we don't know because things happen in heat of the moment. It's a very intense,
for sure,
passionate sport. So we don't know everything that happens, but I think because of Mike Babcock's position and the fact that after he got 8 million chances, he said he was going to change, and he clearly didn't change, that just made it 100 times worse, and now he's done, and reasonably so.
I also think that it's just this would have been just the story of the Blue Jackets all season if he was the coach. It wouldn't be, oh, how was the game today? It would be, oh, what is Mike Babcock doing? And I really think that they must have met and said, because we didn't know for a while if this was going to lead to him resigning or him being fired. It kind of just happened.
Yeah.
So I think the front office must have decided and just said, this is going to be the story of our season if we don't fire this guy right now. And we're going to get, ridiculed for it. So we need to just get him out of here and get in a different coach and get in because in 3 months when the Blue Jackets are 7th in the Metro Division, we're not going to be talking about this story anymore. We're not. It's not. It's a story. It's a big story now, but give or take time, we're going to forget it. If he was still the head coach, we're still talking about this story 3 months down the line. So.
Yeah, it's also the fact that he never apologized for it. Like, now that the information is verified, they conducted an investigation, they know exactly what he did, and know that what he told them last week was basically a lie and was so much worse.
Bro, in his press conference, he just did not look remorseful.
Yeah.
At all.
He
looked stone-faced.
Because he lied. Let's be
For sure.
real. What he said is not what occurred. It may have been his, what do you call it when there's a poker face? No, when there's it's like not
his
a
side
truth.
of the story, like his angle.
No, when it's not a truth. So
a white lie.
Yeah,
a white lie.
Exactly. It might have been like a white lie. Like, he may have had one player or two players who, probably Boone Jenner, to be on good terms with the captain.
As you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, this is Breaking the Ice.
There's a good possibility he went to Boone Jenner, and like I said earlier, he just told him, oh, show me pictures of your family, how was your summer, and that's it. Whereas now we see that, so he may have said that because he did that to say Boone Jenner, and in his mind he's like, well, I didn't lie, it's what I did to one of my players, but he conveniently omits the fact that he still didn't do that to all the other players.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it's just very, very, very sketchy. I obviously he knows he was in the wrong deep down. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had to make up a white lie. He would have just said, I did it and I was wrong for it. But he knew he was done. He knew the hole he dug himself into, and especially, like we said so many times, the fact that he said he changed. Oh, I've been thinking about how I've treated players and stuff. And take everything else aside. You invited a player over your house for lunch and didn't give him lunch. We're not talking about that enough. Like, that
literally,
is
bro. Literally
absurd behavior from a head coach. Like, just the mind games that go on with all of this.
It's like the saying, like, at least wine me and dine me. Like, it's like, what are we doing here?
Like,
what are we doing there, man?
At least give the guy Cheez-Its or something. Like, don't make him starve.
Yeah.
Like,
Go drive him to McDonald's or whatever.
Get a quarter pounder.
Yeah.
Get him a 20-piece.
Yeah.
So I am just so mind blown that he was given enough. The fact that he, especially in today's world where everyone is so, like, it takes so little to ruin your professional career, yet this guy has been abusive to players for years and years and years and ruined their love for the game and still gets another chance. It's so backwards.
No, I think you made the perfect analogy of that. It's like a bad youth baseball coach. because I've seen that firsthand so many times, and that is what I just think of here when you hear Mike Babcock, you think of that. I remember I said earlier when I first heard that he was in consideration for the Rangers, I was absolutely I was mortified that he was even in conversation, that he was in Madison Square Garden conducting an interview, because that shouldn't have happened, and just that I'm thankful that they made the right choice.
You know what I think we could all agree on? Mike Babcock is probably an Atlanta Braves fan.
Yo, that's the one right there. Lesson of the day, Mike Babcock is chopping, and this is for him. So we're going to take a quick break here on Breaking the Ice on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, but when we come back, we'll get into who is the St. Louis Blues captain, right here on the Voice of Montclair State. You are listening to Breaking the Ice here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We are back from our little break. I'm with everyone still in the room, and now we're going to talk first thing, as I mentioned before the break. The St. Louis Blues have named their captain. It has finally happened. This is this part of the season where captains get named and the Blues have theirs. Brayden Schenn will be donning the C for St. Louis, an alternate captain in previous years. Finally makes the jump to the C. Deserved?
I'd say so.
Yeah. I thought Colton Parayko was going to get it, not going to lie, because I think he's their longest tenured player. But that always doesn't mean anything. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, how players are as leaders. And obviously, Brayden Schenn's been there for 6 years now, and he's approaching 32 years old now. So obviously, he's a veteran, a leader in that locker room. So it's clear that they believe that. So good for him. He deserves it. And also, he's a great player overall, 60-point player pretty much every year. So nice, reliable player to have as your captain.
It's a W.
Yeah, he is, I would say, criminally underrated. I feel like no one really talks about Brayden Schenn that much, but he has put together quite the career. He has almost 600 career points now, 240 goals. He's been playing since he was 18, and he still probably has a few years left in the tank. I think it's well deserved for sure.
So, now we're gonna move on here to after he gets his little captaincy there. Let's talk about. I have Devil's Report in the building, and he put up a poll on his Instagram story. Questions for the fans. So we're going to run a little segment here. Questions for Daniel, we shall call this. Devil's Report is going to run through his DMs answering Devils-related questions, or even if they're not Devils-related questions. We know there's some other DMers in the DMs that just hate on him, but, you know, you get, maybe not even questions, just answer all your DMs live.
But that I'm not going to do. There'll just be a lot of, Daniel, you don't know what you're talking about, your content is awful, etc. No, but seriously, I actually did get one NHL-related question, so I'm going to start with that.
Hey!
From Tommy Bavaro, WMSC
No
Iowa.
way! Are you kidding me? All right, we got to stop it right there. Shout out Bavaro. Let's give him a nice little, let's see. What are we going to give him? What sound effect do we give him, Bavaro, here?
Give him whatever your heart desires.
All right, we'll give him one of these.
Bing bang!
All right.
So he said, what can the Blue Jackets do to escape no man's land after the Babcock fiasco?
Johnny Hockey got to go for like 70,000 points.
Well, the fact that he kind of resigned kind of makes it better for them. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they really.
Now, did he resign, or are they?
That's the thing. So we will never know that for sure. But like I think he got fired personally.
I just want to know why the GM's not out the door with him.
Yeah, that could be a question mark. But for the team itself, all we know is that they're gonna come 7th or 8th in the Metro, and that's it about them.
Yeah, I really think the only thing they could do to escape is just keep rebuilding. I mean, I don't really think that they're going to compete at all this year. That was supposed to be last year. They were supposed to be somewhat competitive, and now they're just in full rebuild after what that last season was. And I think, Johnny Gaudreau is just going to have to keep being the player that he is for a couple more years, and then maybe they'll find some sort of relevance in a playoff picture. But I think there's not much that they could do to escape this. It's kind of just let it die. Just don't really
let it die.
I think they did what they had to do, which was either he resigned, but it could have been that they were like, we're gonna fire you, but we could let you act like you resigned. I think that's how you had to do it, because now it's just going to be the best thing that they could do after this is just be forgotten in hockey, in the hockey sense. Which if they don't, if they have a good season, they won't be. But if they're going around the 7th or the 8th in the Metro again, they'll probably just be like, oh yeah, we play the Blue Jackets today. But it'll be interesting to see what they do because if they do anything, if they start off well, maybe they'll get a lot more. People will forget about it.
I'm not gonna lie. So you said rebuild. I don't even view this as a rebuild.
Yeah.
Honestly, for Columbus, it's more of a retool. Because look,
Yeah.
for maybe like a good 5-year period, they were a really good team. They made it, but the farthest they made it was the second round after they swept Tampa Bay, that one year. That was an amazing year though for them. But I mean, they signed Johnny Gaudreau to a long-term contract last offseason. Then this past offseason, they signed Damon Severson and traded for Ivan Provorov. So, obviously, they drafted Fantilli, so that's something to build towards the future, right? But other than that, they're not really making any moves that I think are helping them. Like,
Yeah.
It's going to help them, but it doesn't look like a team that's rebuilding. It's a team that still wants to win now, and I just don't think they have the team to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like they should have just blew it up from the beginning. Should have never signed Johnny Gaudreau. But I don't feel bad for the guy because he could have chose Jersey, and if he was with Jersey...
Bitter.
Well, yeah, I'm not bitter. I just poor guy.
Not your problem.
Well,
I don't feel bad for him, but at the same time, I do just a little bit because that's a poverty franchise right there.
well, I also think that it kind of like started this kind of like, where are they? Was when they traded for Line, because
Yeah, a little bit.
because that's kind of the player that he is, at least now, is he could be a good player. He could become a star player for the team, but will he? Because he's had a very interesting career, because he was one of the best players in hockey with Winnipeg, and now he's kind of just on the Blue Jackets.
I feel like they've been like a team like that just doesn't
They
develop
have-
talent. They just go out and try to trade and sign guys.
Yeah.
Like players that come to mind, like Brandon Dubinsky, Matt Duchene.
Yeah.
Like guys, like I really feel like I can't
Yeah.
name, like, maybe I'm missing somebody big, but like a player that really they just developed over the last.
Well, they had
10
Rick
years.
Nash.
Rick Nash, but that's like
Yeah.
that's like 2000.
Yeah,
what
but
were
then
they-
once they
outside of
could, they
that-
traded him.
Yeah, and I can't think of really any other guy that they really just developed and
Yeah.
turned out to be like a really
No, they
great
really-
player. Like they're just a team that's been in the middle of the pack.
They
Like,
really
kind of
haven't.
around.
They really haven't developed.
Does Sergei Bobrovsky count?
I mean, look, at one point the guy was the greatest goalie in NHL. At one point, like 2014, 2015, best goalie in the league. But then now he's not even on the team anymore, so I don't know. But other than that, I think that's a fair point you bring up, Connor. But other than that, that's really all I could think of.
Does anyone here, or has anyone here watched Nasher on YouTube?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
I think the only way the Blue Jackets could be saved is if Rostislav Nasherov comes to real life.
Rostislav Nasherov.
If he becomes real, they got a shot.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't
Unfortunately,
think
yeah.
that's happening,
Just sign that, like the actual guy. Just sign him. Yeah.
So
so I mean, he's good at roller hockey.
Yeah.
I'll give him
Yeah.
that.
the next question.
All right, so we have who from Mariah McKeon. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think I am. I'm sorry if I'm not. Who will be the main keys to the Devils' success this season?
I'm gonna go like an answer that not many people think of. I think the depth more that the Devils have that most teams lack of. Yes, they have the high end talent. They had the Jack Hughes, the Nico Heechers, Jesper Bratz, Timo Myers, But I think really something that the Devils have that many teams lack is depth. They have so many guys fighting for a roster spot, so many guys fighting for a position in that opening night lineup. It's actually crazy how many guys they have. Not even offensively, defensively as well. So I think depth, having role players, is so important in the NHL. I think it's something that's very underrated and doesn't get talked enough about. I think role players is really something that really helps round the team up, shake them up, and really take them on a cup run or something like that. So, I mean, looking at the Devils' depth right now, you have guys like Curtis Lazar, Kevin Ball, Michael McLeod, Nathan Bastian. They have just these solid depth players that I think really help the team do the little things right. So that's something I would say for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going with, I think he didn't really make that much of an impact. He kind of did in the playoffs, is Andre Palat. He kind of just didn't really hear from him, and I think that a player like him could be key if the Devils want to make like a really, really deep run into the playoffs, and maybe even to a Stanley Cup, because he's been there. He's won 2 with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I really think that because you're gonna have all of your top players do good, and I also think another one that is interesting to see is if Jesper Bratt can be the player that he was last season, because that was kind of like his first big breakout year. So can he repeat that? And if not, there's going to be some questions that the Devils like have to answer, because they did sign him to the big contract, right?
Yeah, and they got him and Timo locked up.
Yeah,
so, I mean, those are both big.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about like their top players at all. That's like not my concern at all, and I'm not concerned with the role players as well. It's more really the goaltending. But I feel like we talked about that so much by now. We know. Let's see how Vitek goes. Schmid's obviously there as well. He was amazing in that first round against the Rangers. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think more just the team, players-wise, I think just the role players. I like that you brought up Andre Palat. They brought him to be more of like a role guy, to be a veteran, to really help the team win games. He knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. He's a playoff performer. I thought he was really strong in that first-round series. Obviously had probably the biggest play of that series in Game 7, where he literally took the puck away, dodged like Chris Kreider and Adam Foxer was, right?
Yeah.
And then was able to feed that to Michael McLeod. Biggest play all series. If that play doesn't happen, the Rangers might win that game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to like drag the Rangers down.
I think I have
He's
in my...
not trying. He just naturally
I think
comes
in
to
my,
him naturally.
I think in my mind I have just forgotten that game's existence. Just forgotten that series' existence. Like that. I don't even want to talk about that.
Dude, he's not feeling it today.
I was so upset. That's the word. I wasn't like, I wasn't even angry. I was just like, what? Just losing Game 6 then.
Yeah, that's why get your hopes up.
Because that Game 6, I was like, all right, here we go. Let's just call Vegas. We'll see him in a couple months. And then they lost Game 7. And I've tried to block that out of my memory.
It's impossible, bro. It's going to follow you wherever you go.
And because right after that, the Mets started being bad. And then nothing can save me. So
pain.
Yeah. And right after that, I went to Citi Field and thought Brett Beatty was the next greatest thing and bought a Brett Beatty jersey, and now he might not. And now I wouldn't be shocked if he's traded for like pennies.
Brett Beatty's a bum.
Yeah,
I know Daniel doesn't like that take, but he stinks.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a hockey show.
I know it's a hockey show, but I remember I had that day. I had the choice of, do I get a Beatty jersey or do I get an Alvarez jersey? And I was like, I'm gonna go with the Beatty jersey.
I think getting neither.
At least now it'll be like having like a Lastings Millage jersey. That'll be if Brett Beatty gets like traded or anything, it'll be like having that. So
well, I have one more. I have a few more questions, but I just want to bring up one that is a pretty significant.
Let me give you that drum roll for it then.
Who is going to make the Devils' open third line spot? because we currently have a
Because
hole on our
Tomas
third
Tatar
line.
is in Colorado.
Yep.
Losing Tatar is a big blow in my opinion. I thought he's a great player. His plus minus, plus minus I think is an underrated stat because that stat goes to show me that.
Dude,
when you're-
McDavid had like a -4 plus minus.
Well, look, in some scenarios it's good, but that's the Oilers. I don't know.
That's the Oilers.
But when you have a plus minus of +40, that means that goes to show me that when you're on the ice, good things happen. So that's what that shows me there. And obviously, I know Tatar. He's a very responsible, great defensive player, great veteran, and could give you a lot of offensive production. Smart player overall. So losing him sucks. But Daniel doesn't like that I'm going to say this.
That's a great start to the segment there.
But I think that spot has to go to Alexander Holtz no matter what. Because, look, is he a bust so far? As of now, yes, he's a bust. But this is really his do-or-die season. Look, he's not going to be as much as a bust as Alexis Lafreniere, though.
What?
I'm sorry.
You just did an Islanders.
This
guy literally is an Atlanta Braves.
When?
That was so incredibly out of pocket.
What?
He just did an Islanders.
I'm sorry.
This
Okay.
is,
Anyway.
let's talk about the Devil's third line. The Ranger. We're not talking about
I
the
love
Rangers.
how we have a phrase now. He just did an Islanders.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's the next one.
Yeah.
We had Choppin, and now you just did an Islanders, bro. Now we got number 2.
I didn't need.
That's like that meme on Twitter. Like Twitter is the only
Yeah,
Twitter is the
that's the
only
funniest-
place where you could say I like waffles and someone else says, "So why do you hate pancakes?"
Yeah. That is. I got called out for no reason.
I'm sorry.
For what it's worth, Alexis Lafreniere is 100 times better player than Alexander Holtz will be. I genuinely think.
Oh no, he's better, but for where he was taken, that's why I say that.
They weren't taken that far away from each other.
No, Lafreniere.
one.
No,
Number
I have my, just like Alexander Holtz, for Lafreniere. This is his do or die season. You need to show me something because, oh good, you could get 30, 40 points in a season. You were brought here to get, at this point in your career, get 70 points, get 80 points, be that star player that the Rangers could rely on going forward, and you just have not. You've been, 0 points in the playoffs for a first overall pick with all these expectations. I'm looking at his minor league stats. 105 points and 112 points in back-to-back seasons, and he hasn't broken 40 in the NHL yet. And he's played basically every game and been given every chance. I think what they need to do is actually put him on a top spot in left wing because his development was absolutely ruined, and I think they're going to do that this year. But sorry, that was my Alexis Lafreniere tangent because he really makes me angry,
rant.
and this is his season to kind of, what player are you going to be? Because it's a do or die season for him.
Yeah, I would say the same about Holtz. Holtz has not played near the level of Lafreniere because Holtz really hasn't gotten much opportunity because he's just in and out of the lineup because he plain out stinks. But I think now you drafted him 7th overall. Even if he doesn't have the best training camp or the best preseason, you just got to give the guy a chance. It's not like it's going to cost the Devils games, in my opinion, at least. The Devils have a great team. They're not one guy's just going to bring the whole team down. I think you got to give this kid a chance for where you drafted him at and see how it pans out. Give him maybe like a 20-game trial and see how he goes. Because last year what they did so often was put him in for 2 games, then take him out, and then 10 games later, then he's back in the lineup for a game or two. Like, you're not going to be able to get better as a player if you're consistently out of the lineup, playing with different line mates, playing at different times of the year. So that's not fair to him. So he deserves consistent play for a 20-game span. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I want to bring up an interesting point that I just saw looking through Alexis Lafreniere's junior stats.
Oh, yeah.
He really was not as much of a goal scorer as I thought he was.
Yeah.
The highest amount of goals he ever had in juniors was 42. I mean, we've seen guys say Austin Matthews, Connor Bedard. I'm trying not to use Jack Hughes here, but he is an example that scored, say, 60, 70 goals in a season. 42 goals in the NHL is great, but that's 42 in juniors. An overwhelming majority of his points, especially later on, were all assists. We look his first year, 2017-18, with Rimouski in the QMJHL. He had 42 goals in 60 games. That's incredible. But his next 2 seasons, he actually scored less goals as time went on. He scored 37 the next season, 35 the next. And given the 35 was in 52 games, but that was also his draft year. Great numbers, don't get me wrong. Numbers of a first overall pick. But I think we're starting to see now the lack of goal scoring not translate to the NHL as well as people thought.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really... He was a great playmaker in juniors, but that doesn't always translate as well as pure goal scoring does.
Well, we've seen him in multiple times. He tries to make like these crazy moves and get like great plays, and it just hasn't translated to the NHL. That one goal against Detroit late in 2022, that was a fantastic goal, but he's just... I don't know if it's the level of players that he plays with, because he's bouncing around. He's bounced around so many times that I think they need... The one thing they really need to do is find a stable place for him to play in the lineup, because it's been, he's on the first line today. Now he's on the third. Now he's on the second line. Now he's on the first. Now he's on the fourth line. Now he's sitting. Now he's with, Barclay Goodrow and some guy that they just signed, some guy that wasn't even in Hartford that they just signed out of nowhere. So it just kind of seems like they don't know what they're doing with him, and that's why I hope Peter Laviolette can fix that, can give him and Kakko some sort of stability, because that is the one thing that they have not had, is stability in their NHL careers, because they were drafted by the Rangers, and the Rangers had already filled the spots. They were taking the best available player here. And they've, filled the spot. And I think one thing that last year that they did was they actually went out. They filled the spots, but now those spots are open, and they're going to fill them in, because they traded for, Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, who I really wish that they could have kept Tarasenko. Kane is going to be out probably with an injury for a long while. So I wasn't really like, they should re-sign. I wasn't really like, they need to re-sign him, but now they'll have a consistency, hopefully, and hopefully it'll make them play better. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But I think I think they could, with consistency, play better at an NHL level, which needs to happen, or else it'll be probably considered one of the biggest draft busts in recent history, because Lafreniere had the same kind of expectations as Connor Bedard did. Not I don't think as big, but it was probably since Matthews, he was the biggest number 1 overall pick. He was the biggest name, and he just has not played like that.
Yeah, and at some point, I don't want to hear about what you did in juniors.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm done. I'm done.
I don't
hearing
know
that.
what you want.
I'm done hearing that.
Yeah, I don't care what you did in the minor leagues. I don't care what you did year 1, year 2. At some point, if the Rangers are going to get to where they're going to want to go, at some point, these young players on cheap contracts are going to have to play above.
Yeah,
they're going to have to play above their number.
They're going to.
If not, these moves for these Tarasenkos, these Kanes, they're not going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you bring in those types of players, all they are is their supplements.
Yeah.
If you're bringing in those players to be the piece, because we always like to say this is the piece that's going to change this team. This is the piece that's going to put them over the edge. No, it's not. What's going to put them over the edge is their core playing with it. Is their core playing well? Yeah. This player is just going to add to their core playing well. But when we really get down to the meat and potatoes of the playoffs, what's really going to get the Rangers to a Stanley Cup is guys like Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Lafreniere, Kakko, Chytil. Those guys are
Yeah.
those guys need to play well.
And to his credit, Philip Hedl has started to take on that role and has played like that player.
The second
He's been
great.
post All-Star break, Philip Hedl was great.
I
He
mean,
was one of
and
the better
they've-
3 seasons in the league with the
Yeah.
with the,
Yeah.
with the post All-Star break. Like he's done his job. Kako, you kind of see it a little bit.
you
in
could see it.
spurts.
He's playing a lot better.
I like him better when he plays up with guys.
Yeah,
when he
because
plays up with Mika.
He has been. The scoring is still kind of stagnant, but he's playing better. It kind of seems like he knows what he's doing. He's playing a lot more physical, getting into plays. Lafreniere is just kind of skating around. If he gets the puck, shoots and scores, oh cool. But he's kind of just skates around, doesn't really do much, and then he gets like one time where he'll find like Radko Gudas and be like, yeah, you want to fight?
wait.
You want to fight me? You want to fight me?
Yeah.
And like like WWE style for like Rat, and it's like, oh, he did that. Good. He's not going to do that for another till next season.
And I just want to ask, what does Lafreniere do well? Does he drive the play? No.
No, he does nothing well.
No. Is he good? Is he good at finding guys in space? No. Has a shooting touch? Is it there yet? No. Is he good on the forecheck? Not really. Is he good on the back check? Kind of no. Is he good defensively? Absolutely not.
No.
Like, what is Lafreniere?
I don't.
What has he done?
I don't. He gets like a couple goals. He'll be like a 12.
He'll get a lucky rebound.
He'll get a lucky rebound.
He'll put it in the back
If
of
he
the net. Oh my
doesn't-
God, he got a point.
If he doesn't step up this year,
Or he'll get a secondary assist.
If he doesn't step up this year, I'm done with him. I think and he's the one player out of all the Rangers young players that has not given me anything to base anything on. Because Kako, you can see
Kako encouraging, Hedl encouraging, Keandre Miller encouraging.
Yeah, he had a
Lafreniere, brutal.
Keandre Miller was playing phenomenal. He had a really, really, really rough end of the year where he just was not playing like he was.
Lafreniere, cheeks.
Yeah, Lafreniere he has been terrible. I know he's been feeble. He's been feeble, and I really, really hope that he steps up this season and plays a bigger role. But me personally, I just do not see that happening. I think he's going to be the same player that he's always been. Ooh, he'll get you to 40 points, but that is not why he's here. He is here to be a 70 at least point player, and he just has not been that.
His playoff stats last year remind me of Miles Wood
Yeah.
in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
7 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 total points, 0 penalty minutes, ±0.
yeah. He did. He just kind
I
of.
think Miles Wood is perfect for Lafreniere. I could see him after this bridge contract literally signing like a deal like Miles Wood did in Colorado.
Yeah.
Just because like Colorado's a team that's going to be cap strapped and they're hoping that maybe a young forgotten prospect who hasn't worked in the NHL like maybe could catch on there and get like a second wind in their career. Because do you trust Lafreniere to be part of a core of a championship team?
No, I don't.
Absolutely not.
I think he could be a third liner on a championship team, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to take them there. And granted, there is other things. I'm not saying that the Rangers in the playoffs that they lost that series because Alexis Lafreniere did nothing. No, that
Will
was
Lafreniere be a $7 million player at some point in the National Hockey League?
no. I think the most he's getting is comparable to like Miles Wood, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think Miles Wood like around that like 5-year deal.
What do you get, like 3? What was Miles Wood's contract?
Like a Lafreniere I could very well see
6.
if he doesn't step up and play on this bridge deal, he'll probably get like 5 years and like $4 million a year.
Yeah,
Which-
6 year, $15 million.
yeah. It's not. I
So
don't.
like 2.6 or what is that?
It's the most crucial. He is
That
the
is
most.
terrible.
He is the most. Like he is the guy with the biggest ceiling, I guess, that we thought we were gonna see, and he's the guy that I absolutely have no hope for him. I have hope for every other young player for the Rangers have because I've seen it. I've seen it happening, and I could see, maybe Peter Laviolette unlocks that, and that guy is the player that we thought they were gonna be. And I think Capo Caco should be very grateful that Alexis Lafreniere is on this team, because if he wasn't, I would be saying the exact same thing about him now, because he was. A lot of people forget he was drafted 2nd overall. A lot of people do, and I think he has done a couple. He's had a couple of flashes, but it kind of seems like you're just every game you watch those two players, you're just like, this. Please let this be the game. This is the game where they do something, where they have this breakout play, and even when they do, they'll have like 5-6 game stretches where they're getting like a point per game, and you're like, here we go, this is it. And then after those 5-6 games, they're a non-factor for another 3 weeks.
I want to go back to the lack of pure goal scoring in juniors, because we've seen parallels with guys like that. I'm going to name 2 guys right here. Xavier Perrant, 106 points for 65 games for Sherbrooke Phoenix in the QMJHL.
QMJHL.
And Nate Schnarr, 102 points in 65 games for the Gulf Storm in the OHL. Both major Canadian hockey leagues. Does anyone know who any of those 2 are, or well?
Nah.
No.
Because of the Taylor Hall trade, but that's the only reason.
Yeah.
He's not.
But he was a 1st round pick, right?
I
was.
believe so.
Yeah.
No, he's
Was he not?
third round pick.
That's still solid.
But like, that's the thing. These guys, they put up 100+ point seasons, which, don't get me wrong, is hard to do, but they're nowhere near the NHL right now. If they're like
fair.
They're AHL players right now, and I think Lafreniere, I mean, he was younger than those guys when he did that, so I think there's still hope for him, but I think people just need to lower their expectations. And maybe, I know it's probably hard for Tanner to hear, but maybe he has to take the route of, say, that Michael McLeod did with Devils fans, because he wasn't a 1st overall pick, but he was a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
And Devils fans struggled to come to terms with the fact that he wasn't going to be this elite point producer, and once they got away from that, they realized that he could still be a very valuable asset to the team, and that took 4 or 5 years to form that opinion.
I think it's different in this case, because the Devils have number 86. They have that draft. They have that draft pick. They have Quinn's brother, who last year, was one of the best players in hockey. The Rangers, how many prospects they've had? We've had Lias Anderson, we've had Vitaly Kravtsov, we've all these guys that you're just begging for one of them to click, and they just don't. Like even Nils Lundqvist. It's just all these guys that are like, here we go, this is the face of the franchise, and then they just come to the NHL and just kind of just sit there. So I think it's kind of I don't think Rangers fans, me included, can accept that these guys are just not good, because we've seen so many times, and the team has been so abysmal at player development that they've been so abysmal at it that we have to sign a guy every year, and then it's going to get to a place where the Rangers just can't develop talent. Like the last guy,
Adam Fox, I would say.
Like, he wasn't even drafted by the Rangers.
Was he actually not?
No, he was traded twice. He was drafted by Carolina, traded to Calgary, and then traded to the Rangers.
But I would say like he was more like developed by
Yeah.
the Rangers. So I wouldn't really look at that into the draft, and I think developmental is really where it's at. So the Rangers were able to develop him. Now he's a top 3 defenseman in the league.
Yeah, but I think like you just think of like an offensive point producing player, and they just haven't done that. I mean, I can't even tell you the last guy that I've been like, the last guy that they've that I could think of that they kind of drafted.
He's back into the bottom
is
of his
like
memory right here.
That's like, and he's been better since he's left the Rangers. Is Pavel Buchnevich? It's the last guy that I could think of that's
St.
like
Louis
that's like was drafted by the Rangers and is like a really good offensive player. They just don't do it, and it really upsets me, because how many guys are we gonna see brought in and then traded away, for a third round pick? How many guys before the Rangers get that star player? Because, and I say this almost every week on this show, all these guys are getting older. Artemi Panarin, Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, they're all getting older. Give it 5 years, they're not going to be here. They're not going to be on the Rangers. And one of these guys is going to have to step up and be that face of the franchise going forward. And none of the young players on the team right now I see taking that step. I think it's going to have to come from outside of the organization, or maybe they get lucky in the draft in a couple years, but they're going to be stagnating around being the second or third seed, so they won't have the best draft position. And then all these guys are going to leave, and it's either you admit that this rebuild failed, or you double down and you trade.
You roll through.
I don't know. It's just, this is one of the most crucial seasons for the New York Rangers, I think, in a very long time, because it was cute when you went to the Eastern Conference Final. And then last year, you got all these guys. Last year was going to be, we traded for all these guys. We traded a first-round pick for Vladimir Tarasenko. They got lucky with Patrick Kane that he wanted to play there, so they didn't have to trade basically the entire farm for him. This year is make or break. What team is this? Is this team a cup contender, or are they just, we can make it to the second round, but we're going to lose? So I think it's one of the most crucial seasons, and I could very well see anything happening. I could see this team going on a run, making a run and possibly winning a Stanley Cup, and I could see them losing in the first round of the second round to, I don't know, the Hurricanes, I guess. They'll make the playoffs, but how far are they getting?
I'm glad you brought up Lias Andersson and Vitaly Kravtsov before, because those two names used to be everywhere. I
remember
they're going to be the next greatest things, and they ended up in every trade rumor, and now
I remember
they just don't even exist.
I remember, and I still have this vivid memory in my mind. It was this post by an NHL account on Instagram, and it was ranking the top 5 prospects right now, and it was Kaapo Kakko number 4 and Vitaly Kravtsov number 1, and Vitaly Kravtsov he went back to Russia, right?
Yeah, he's playing in the KHL right now. He didn't get that much of a shot with the Rangers, but he didn't deserve it because he had holdouts and he wanted to go play in Russia for a bit, and it was just an absolute headache. And I remember it was the Rangers really need this guy, and then he played and got 4 points, maybe. I don't even know how many points his NHL career he has. It's under 20. But and the only recollection I have of Lias Andersson is him taking his World Junior
it was before he was on the Rangers
and chucking it in the stands.
Yeah.
So I mean, their player development is not great, but this similar to Alexander Holtz, this is a make or break year for Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah, Vitaly
Kakko, I think in his own right could still be very, very, very good.
Yes, I agree. He's shown the flashes of being a good player that Lafreniere just has not. Vitaly Kravtsov, a combined total of 10 points in 48 games with the New York Rangers. Former number one prospect in all of hockey, and it's just.
I mean, he outscored Mason Geertsen.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact.
It's just tiring.
Now, one part of this whole little rant here was who's going to be on the empty third line spot of the Devils. Did y'all ever get around to answering that one?
I did.
I was like,
because he's.
But honestly, if I never took that shot,
if you never took that shot, this is completely different. Last half hour.
It all started because Justin did an Islanders.
Dude, I'm using that in life now. Now I was laughing about that 5 minutes after we said it. I'm still sitting over.
That's gonna
Justin
be
did an Islanders.
When we play intramural dodgeball, if a ref
they're
makes
doing an Islanders.
They're doing the Islanders.
Yo, If you roast the opposing team, they clap back with something random. They'll be like, "You're doing an Islanders."
Oh, I got you out. The Braves won 3-0.
The refs be like, "I got you out," but the Braves won 3-0 today.
That's insane.
When the Braves fans
Spencer Strider, 3.9 ERA. So that's my Cy Young because he can strike out guys.
We're talking about the fact that I caught the ball in bounds. Why are you talking about Spencer Strider right now?
I think when I was walking over to the studio before, I saw Sparky and Blooper.
Oh no!
They were both doing the Islanders and the Chop at the same time.
Bro, you're lying, bro. No way. Sparky and Blooper gotta get together. So, are there any more Devils questions?
I'm Devil's out.
Yeah.
It's
I
done?
think
Oh my
done
God,
here?
your Devil's out.
No
crazy.
chance.
Just wait until they beat the
That ain't happening.
They're
Too
going
much
4-0
Devils
this
for
year.
Devils fanatics.
Remember
This
those
has never
bets
happened
you made
ever.
last year?
I'm doing it again. I'm gonna win.
I want to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay, let's get into it.
The Pittsburgh Penguins this season will finish third in the Metro Division
That's respect.
in front of the Rangers.
I've said, yeah, I could see. No, I'm saying I could see that happen. I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs.
I'm just gonna sit back and have Justin fight my Penguins.
No.
argument
So
for me.
here's the thing. So I think the Devils and Hurricanes, they're fighting for that top one spot. I think the
Yeah.
Rangers and Penguins are fighting for that third spot.
I think there's going to be just it's just going to, I think it's kind of clear that it's going to probably be Devils, Hurricanes, Rangers, Penguins, and it's just, the regular season is just finding out where those four fit in the standings.
Yeah.
Because I think there's an argument to give to every one of those teams being, winning the division. I think there's an argument there to all of them. But I think the most dire one is the Penguins, because it's kind of like, this is the last gasp. This is the this is the last time where you might have star players. This might be the last time where Evgeny Malkin, where all these guys just come together. And I think, I'm sorry to say it, but I think in 2 or 3 years, the Penguins are just not going to be a good team at all.
They're gonna be terrible.
I
They're going to be.
Every
They're
Penguins
going to be
fan knows
awful.
that.
This is kind of like that last dance.
Yeah, so all the moves they made this past season is to keep them in contention for 2 years, just for Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang. That's it.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and it's not even based on that, right? To keep them in contention for 2 years, I think they made some great moves. Erik Karlsson,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Norris Trophy
buddy.
winner, top 5 defenseman probably next season again.
Yeah,
Ryan Graves, I like that signing. Solid defenseman. He's going to be in your top 4 most likely.
Yeah.
Adding a guy like Riley Smith, forward, he could go in your top 6, top 9. Veteran forward, can give you offensive production. What, he put up 70, something like that points?
Yeah, 65-ish points.
That's great. I mean, and
solid.
the Penguins need some more to their top 6 depth. So that's a guy who could bring that. So honestly, look, you're not gonna see any young, flashy things from the Pittsburgh Penguins, but you know what? They're gonna play good, solid hockey, responsible hockey, like they always have. So I mean, they have 87, so that's all that matters. They have 71, they have 58. So that trio is still there. So I mean, I really like how their team is built. They have Andreas Janssen as well. So yeah, I like how their team's built right now. I think they're gonna be a playoff team. Honestly, they're not winning a cup. Sorry, AJ, I hate to break it to you. They're not built to win a cup. Their goaltending is obviously very questionable. How is Tristan Jarry going to bounce back this season? So, I don't know. I think Jarry's still a solid goalie, but we've seen him play at a much higher level in the past. But now it's just I don't know. But I like how Pittsburgh's built overall.
There's no Alex Lyon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, nothing like that. So, yeah, but I like how Pittsburgh's built. They're going to be a playoff team this year.
That was just music to my ears.
He's been waiting so long for this.
I would have to agree with that statement.
2 for 1, 2 for 2.
I agree with that statement, but there will be a point in the season where the Penguins go on a 4 or 5 game skid, and AJ starts texting me and Justin essays about why the Penguins are a broken franchise.
Pretty much. That's how that's gonna go.
None of this matters, though, because the Cats are winning the East. Anyway.
I got big
So-
news.
Oh God.
Seth Barton made the Rangers training camp roster.
Yes, sir. Hashtag Seth Barton dropping on air. Well, at least in the Metro, one thing you guys can all agree on, your teams have AHL affiliates, unlike Carolina. Poor Canes, prospects. They just gotta... Sorry, no AHL... The team in Charlotte is the Florida Panthers affiliates. That's That's where the Cats go.
Strange.
So weird.
So all of them, it's not even fully like Charlotte Checkers. That's us. That's where Grigory Denisenko was sitting for a couple years, and now he's got a one-way contract in Florida. So now it's his time to shine. He was like a first-round pick 5 years ago. Y'all were talking about rookies and trying to shine. With Florida, I mean, they've been trading away all their draft picks like crazy for like Sam Reinhart, Brandon Montour, Matthew Tkachuk. So like they haven't made any crazy picks in recent years. Anton Lundell was their last first-round pick they made, and he's been in the NHL.
That was a pretty solid draft pick.
He was a 12th overall pick, and he's been on the roster for the last 2 years. Like he's been playing. He was solid, but he's only been solid. I feel like before that, Owen Tippett got traded away. That just didn't work out. Now he was traded that was the Claude Giroux trade, which, well, he's now in Ottawa, so it's fine.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Just stumbling upon something. So I looked up Seth Barton, future
Oh god.
future D pair 1 for the Rangers. And if you look him up on Google, so he's actually listed as a chemist for the Confederate Army. Like all the
Rangers are
pictures
really
all the pictures are of a hockey player, and it has like his elite prospects thing, and then it's like born on September 8th, 1829.
This show has really gone off the rails.
Yeah,
today, huh?
yeah.
I love it though. I love it. We
They're
flew through 2 hours like nothing.
I mean, hey, if it works for the Rangers, it
Yeah.
works. They're
Seth,
bringing guys back from their grave.
Bringing chemists back, bring Civil War chemists back. You know what? I like the approach. I like the approach.
Since Islanders fans think arenas can put skates on and play themselves, why don't the Rangers just sign an arena and have them play?
Yeah.
What we learned today
Madison Square
is
Garden to an entry-level contract.
what we learned today is don't do an Islanders. That's the number one thing we learned today.
Don't do an Islanders.
Don't do an Islanders. We had.
Has there ever been an Islanders fan on this show?
I know Ryan White reps the Islanders.
Okay.
But
Like
it's only. But I don't think he knows a player. I don't think if you told him name 3 players on the Islanders.
I have a funny story. So I was at Penn Station.
Well, you got 30 seconds. Run.
I was at Penn Station after the Mets game the other day, and there's this guy with like 5 Rangers fans, and he's telling them he's a Devils. He's like, let's go Devils! Like Devils run New York, all this stuff to his Ranger fan's friend, and one of his Ranger fan friends says to him, "You can't even name a player besides Jack Hughes." And this man turns around and goes, yes I can. We have that dude Timo Maier." And I'm like, there is no way, like that dude. I can't believe I just witnessed like a New Jersey Devils bandwagon in the wild.
Well, boys, thank you for listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This was Breaking the Ice. I'm Connor Cupin alongside Justin Brady, Daniel Amoya, AJ Chasen, and Tanner Price. We'll be seeing you guys next week. Have a great one.